Okay, this is the first video of the day. It's a nice gray spring day, almost spring, still a North Texas winter day. It's going to get up to 80 degrees, supposed to get up to 80 degrees today. We had overnight rains. This is the water meter test. And this is where the water meters are located. This is the Parkway sidewalk. This right here is called spalling. Okay, when the surface was poured, there wasn't enough water in it, they didn't cure it right, there's too much of a temperature differential, and so now the surface is busting up. You still have a sidewalk, but it's spalling, and someday you're going to get tired of it, someday you're going to want to redo it. Sometimes the city, and I don't know about relied, but they'll come in and they'll do it for free when they improve the streets. That's not always the case. Sometimes the city, like in Dallas a few years ago, they told my neighbor that they would put them in touch with their vendor and they would split the cost if they wanted their sidewalk done. I'm pretty sure the vendor pocketed the whole money and there wasn't a discount, but it sounded good to my neighbor and they chose not to go there. But anyway, that's not why we're here. This is the water meter. This is the Parkway sidewalk in your yard. This is the front of the home. This is where the water meter is. So far, I cannot locate a main water shutoff valve for the house. You should have a main water shutoff valve. This valve right here is not yours. This valve belongs to the municipality. If this arrow is pointing towards the house, your water is on. If you turn this arrow around so it's perpendicular instead of parallel, and those little ears line up, the water's off, and they'll put a padlock in there when they're turning off your bill. I've got a still image of this number right here, and this number is exactly the same as it was when I first got here. It's an electronic water meter. It's very difficult to tell whether these things are leaking or not. It'd be better for you to have this because they can monitor it more closely. Better for a home inspector if it would have been analog, but it's not. So unless we find a main water, I know I'm rambling, but unless we find a main water shutoff valve in the house, this is likely going to be the way that you would have to turn the water off during an emergency. And I'm kind of suspicious because all this has been broken up. There's no lock on this. People have been getting in here pretty easily. That's probably the way you're going to be turning the water off to the house. I'm going to call that a deficiency. For me, that's a no-go. That's not the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to have a main water shutoff valve. So let's come on up here. I'm looking for between 40 and 80 psi. Somewhere along the line, somebody decided that 40 was okay. Somewhere along the line, everybody agrees that 80 is still too much. But I'm old school, and I just think that less than 40 is not enough water pressure to the house. But that's me. We're looking for more than 80. And what we're reading here, that's a loose pipe, man. I hope that doesn't leak in the wall. Looks like somebody's been working on it around there, huh? What do you think about that? Got about 70 psi. That's about ideal. Now we're going to leave this here because it's supposed to stay here for a little bit. We're going to talk a little more. Okay, what we're going to talk about is these pipes right here. It's PVC. These are sewer cleanouts. It's a double cleanout. So if you bring the auger in here, the snake, the rotor-rooter, call it what you will, you bring it in here, it curves and it goes back that way into the house. Takes care of business. You got a problem out here in the yard, this one comes in and it curves this way. They crisscross so you never have a dead spot. But these are your main sewer cleanouts. Now it's as good time as any to tell you that this home does not have an irrigation system. So it's something that you might want to take into consideration. So what I'm looking at is I got main sewer cleanouts. I do not have a main water shutoff valve. I got 65 psi. That's why you come back. I'll get a still image of that. 65 psi. This pipe's a little loose in the wall. In fact, this is my method. We'll just find the right folder for this. The main exterior bib faucet is not securely mounted in the wall. And out there is where your water meter is, and that's probably where you're going to be turning off the water, unfortunately. But that's probably your main water shutoff valve. You may see another video. You may read in the other part of the report. We may find that there's a water shutoff valve. But right now, my hopes are dashed.